Welcome back to Vintage Super League. I'm now joined by Kai Buddha.
Hey everyone.
How are you feeling right now? I mean, I'm sure that wasn't quite the way you drew it up, but your draws just looked miserable the whole time.
Well, I mean, I've been playing Modern and my opponents were playing Vintage, so that's not really working out. Like, I haven't played Force of Will. Lewis led with the Blue Mox twice, and then Rich started with Lotus and the Time Walk, and I just had like Delver and Pyromancer in my hands. I mean, you can't really win these games, but I mean, that's what happens sometimes.
Yeah, Rich's draw in particular, I mean, for a Delver Mirror, he just goes turn one, what was it, Lotus, Pyromancer, Time Walk, hit you for 4, Ancestral. It's just like...
I think there was a Gitaxian probe too. I think he went...
There was.
Yeah, there was a Gitaxian probe too. And then, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
That deck doesn't even play that many restricted cards.
Maybe I have to mulligan more aggressively, but like usually it's a grind in these matchups, and if I mulligan like hands with spells, I don't know. I don't think I'm supposed to do that, but might be a mistake.
Yeah, you took one mulligan that game, which I thought made a lot of sense. Rich was saying he would keep, but most of the rest of us liked your mulligan. And then against Luis, it felt like you had the game in reasonable shape, and he just, the top of his deck loved him. He got the birthday clause, right?
Well, in game one, he first had to draw land to enable his Gush. And then when he cast his Doomsday, he had one card in hand, which I knew was Lab Maniac, and that remaining card had to be a card draw, which it was, so I lost. And then, I mean, I did board out most of my creature removal. I knew that he would board into Xanthic Swarms, but I figured with 4 Mental Missteps, I mean, Force of Will if I have to, and I had a Fire Ice and 1 Lightning Bolt in my deck, I figured that's probably enough. But, I mean, as it turned out, he had the Xanthic Swarm, and I didn't have any of those cards, and yeah, then...
Now, are you a fan of Delver in Vintage in general, or was this? I know you were doing a lot of Pro Tour prep leading up to the Vintage Super League, and then you also got sick for that week right before the Pro Tour.
Yeah, well, the whole Pro Tour trip was absolutely miserable for me. I mean, I was just lying in bed with fever and didn't do anything. And then because I didn't have internet and I couldn't play on the first week, I figured it's only fair if I just play like a stock net list because I already saw the deck list of the other guys.
Yeah.
So I just went with the deck list that Lewis played in the last tournament, in the Vintage Holiday thing.
Yep.
I like the style of the deck. I actually hate the card Delver itself. Like, I don't think it does anything other than pitch to Force of Will.
Okay.
Like, it doesn't do anything. Attacking for 3 doesn't win you games. Like, you have to win the games with your counter spells, and then you can attack with something. But like, Delver is not very effective at that. I think Pyromancer is just like, you don't need more than Pyromancer to win with.
Okay.
Like, you just want to control the game, and then eventually you win.
So it sounds like you might see something a little more interesting from you for the next week, for the next deck.
Probably, yeah. I'm definitely not playing the same list at least.
Fair enough. You have a take on Bob's deck for this match coming up against Tom here?
I mean, Bob's deck, I mean, obviously it's fine. It's got all the powerful cards. But I think it would be just better if you just take out the awkward combo and play a Tezzeret and a Time Vault.
Okay.
I mean, like Azun Orb and then like a Fireball, like that's all cards you really don't want in your opening hand. And it's so many cards that are needed for his combo. So I mean, like, I think he plays that because it's fun. Like, I don't think he thinks that's the best deck or anything.
I think that's fair. Do you have a lot of experience with dredge decks? What do you think of Martell's chances here?
No, I've actually 0 experience with dredge decks. Like, there were a couple of years when I didn't play any Magic at all, and that's when dredge came up. Like, when dredge was in standard and modern or whatever it was, I didn't actually play Magic at all. And then I haven't played. Like, I mean, if I play Vintage, I play for fun, and like, I don't want to play dredge. I've played against dredge, obviously, and I know what it does, but I can't say that I'm an expert on dredge.
Fair enough. So that is the matchup here. It's Tom Martell versus Bob Maher. See Bob with the Hall of Fame ring. He did get a win last week with his Crucible Gush Bond deck. Tom, meanwhile, still looking to put up the first win for Dredge. It is 0-2 in his hands, also 0-2 in David Williams' hands. He got a 3-0 out of it in the first season of Vintage Super League, but it's let him down so far here.
I mean, I would assume that Tom is a big favorite. Like, Bob's combo deck isn't exactly fast, and like, he's got all like the Delver standard cards. Like, he wants to protect himself with like Mental Misstep, Flusterstorm, Force of Will, and all these cards don't really do anything. So.
No, that makes sense to me. I think we've got resumes queued up for you here.
And his sideboard is actually not that heavily geared towards stretch. Like when Eric played against stretch, he just boarded in 8 cards, and I mean, you felt that. Bob is going to board in 4 cards and hope that he draws them.
Yeah, let's look at Bob's deck list.
There's only 1 Ravenous Trap and 3 Gravedigger's Cage. I think Eric actually had 4 and 4, maybe
I think it was only 2 traps. He had 4
2
and
traps.
2.
But
Yeah, it was
still,
2 traps. It may have been a 7th card that was relevant, but it was 4 cage, 2 traps. So not as much hate as Eric brought to this matchup last week, but it's not nothing. I mean, the cages and the Ravenous Traps, if he draws them, are in fact awesome.
And he does have the cantrips to dig for them, obviously. So yeah.
So right, I mean, the way this normally goes, we'll get over to Tom's side of this matchup. I mean, the gambit when you play a dredge deck is you figure, all right, I'm going to be like 80, 90% to win game 1. But I know everybody knows that they're going to have sideboard cards against me, so I'll sideboard in Nature's Claims and Chain of Vapors. And if I figure if I can just bounce your hate cards, then maybe I can sneak out one of the 2 sideboarded games.
Well, and he has to draw one of his 8 lands that enable these cards, but yeah. I mean, he does have
what does he have the taps for mana? 4 Confluence, 4 Undiscovered?
Yeah, and I mean, he does mulligan to Bazaar, so he's seeing like at least 10 cards or something until he needs it.
Indeed. Yeah. Bazaar can often find the land that you need, so. All right, we're getting these guys into the game. Awesome. What do we got? So Tom's looking at a 7-card hand. I don't think he needs to open his graveyard, but I don't think that's a Bazaar on the left, so that's almost certainly going to get mulliganed. Oh,
I'm actually not seeing anything.
I don't see Bob's hand, but I see Tom's hand.
My screen is just reloading blank on Skype.
Oh, that's fun. I'll have to have Josh take a look at that. I'll try to do a little more play-by-play for you. Yeah, we'll just stop sharing and then turn it back on. So Tom had no Bazaar, but he did have a Serum Powder. I'm sure he's going to go find a fresh hand of 7 there. Bob's hand didn't look super exciting to me in the glimpse I saw.
I mean, what is Bob even looking for? Like, he just wants his combo, right? Like,
yeah, he needs to be fast, is what he needs to be.
Yeah. So like all this force of will and all that doesn't really do anything. So.
Yeah, he's got a couple of Moxes, which helps. He's got a Trinket Mage. He doesn't play Cage in the main, does he? Is that what the 4th Cage is? That would be awesome.
I do not think there's a main deck.
I don't think there is either. He's got a Flusterstorm, he's got a Gush. Are you seeing the hands now?
I don't see anything. No, it's
all right. And Josh is doing his best to share screens with you inside Skype. That is where you're supposed to be able to watch.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I mean, I'm also looking at the Modo match itself. So
yeah, I mean, in Magic Online, you can watch just without hands. I'll keep everybody updated on what's going on. All right. So Tom's Serum Powder did find him a Bazaar of Baghdad. 7 cards removed from the game, but now he's off to the races with Bazaar. Bob kept his 7. And Tom looks to be in pretty good shape here. He's on the play. He's got a Golgari Grave Troll already. He's got a Bridge from Below already. So he's pretty much off to the races here. First activation of Bazaar's really just good at getting stuff into the graveyard, and then next turn is when Tom will start dredging everything else.
That should result in a turn 3 kill, I think. If he already has the Grave Troll and the Bazaar. He would be unlucky to not win on turn 3 with that, I think.
That sounds right to me, too.
And obviously it can be turn 2 if he hits something with the first match.
He's put some turn 2 kills together so far.
Yeah, like, especially with Fate Stitcher, it's very possible, I think.
Yeah, he's got Fate Stitchers that he can unearth in order to get an extra Bazaar of Baghdad activation. He's also he's got Sun Titans in his list, so he can often dread return a Sun Titan back into play just to get a second Bazaar, which he can then tap to dredge the rest into the yard.
The Serum Power didn't really cost him anything, like 1 Bloodghast, 1 Dread Return, 1 Necromebia, but...
Yeah, and 2 Narcomoebas in his hand is less than ideal. I mean, they do basically nothing in your hand.
That is actually terrible. Then he only has 1 in his deck.
Yeah, so there's only 1 Narcomoeba left, but he's got Bloodghasts, and he is holding land in his hand right now to potentially return Bloodghast to play. So yeah, it doesn't look like a turn 2 kill to me. We'll see what happens. Meanwhile, Bob fetches up a Volcanic. I assume Trinket Mage is the play this turn, but I mean, what does he get that's actually relevant? This is a spot where a main deck Grafdigger's Cage would be insane. I don't think he runs one, though. He's even got the 3rd Mox if he did. Or he can leave up Flusterstorm, potentially stop What? Doesn't seem super relevant.
That's the Dome, yeah. Like all the counter spells will just get hit with Cabal Therapy.
Definitely one of the advantages of the dredge deck.
Oh, is he getting top maybe?
Top's not bad. I mean, Zernorb's obviously part of his combo, but he doesn't have any of the other parts.
I mean, top is bad. It's like the scourge of magic, but
Yeah,
there we
Days
go.
Divining Top.
Now, like how many viewers do we have? Like how many people are now losing 10 minutes of their life watching Bob use Sensei's Divine? Oh, mental misstep.
Tom's going to do us all a favor. We don't
Yep.
have to watch Bob activate Sensei's Divining Top thanks to Tom Martell. See, now if he was truly the Mar troll, he would have let that resolve. Just troll all of us. All right. Here is Upkeep, Tap Bazaar. He picks up the Grave Troll. I see a couple of Bloodghasts.
He's got a bridge.
He's got one bridge. He's got the Flamekin Zealot.
Oh, there's
down
the last Necromedia.
Yeah, that
Anti-Cabal
helps.
Therapy. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Does he have a land in his hand?
He does.
Okay.
Yeah, his
Take him
hand
back.
is Grave Troll, Narcomoeba, and a pair of Mana Confluence. Bob's holding a Tarn, a Flusterstorm, and a Gush.
I don't think I can give Bob more than 5% to win this game at this point.
No, I mean, it's... Dredge game ones are usually heavily slanted toward Dredge, and nothing about these draws has slanted it anywhere close to Bob's side. I think Tom's got to figure out what he's going to name with Cabal Therapy. I mean, if you're Tom, blind naming with Cabal Therapy here.
It's just always Force of Will, I think.
Just always Force of Will?
Yeah.
Reasonable. Tom's hit pretty well with those. It's often Force of Will, but not always. 2 Bloodghasts come back thanks to this Mana Confluence.
Oh, he's got a second bridge mana. Yeah, I would be surprised if Bob survives Tom's third turn. So Bob basically has to win on his next turn, I think.
From a hand that
Wait.
has Flusterstorm, Gush, and Scalding Tarn.
Seems pretty unlikely.
Gonna have to hit perfect on draw step, Gush card number 1, and Gush card number 2.
We've certainly seen that today, so I mean
that is fair. Your opponents have done exactly this to you. That said, it's not clear how much of that is even going to survive into Bob's next turn. Tom's going to point Cabal Therapy at him.
But again, I think it's going to be Force of Will, so
Right, but then he'll get to see Bob's hand. I agree. He'll probably name Force of Will. He'll probably whiff. But then
if he somehow finds another therapy, he's going to name Bush.
Is there another Cabal Therapy hanging out in Tom's graveyard? I don't think
No. His graveyard doesn't have a therapy. That's it.
Yeah. No more Cabal.
Yeah. His graveyard right now is 2 bridges, Dread Return, the Flamekin. It's nothing super exciting.
Yeah. Flamekin's not good enough yet, right?
I mean, it's not super exciting. Like, it's going to win him the game.
6 zombies. You know what? Hilariously enough, that Trinket Mage is actually relevant, isn't it? Because if he casts Dread Return, or no, he'd only wind up with 5 zombies in play. He could have 18 power haste by Dread Returning Flamekin Zealot. He can't quite deal 19, especially.
I mean, that would turn off the fetch land in Bob's hand, which is you did name Force of Will.
Funny. Well, he won't get the 18 through because Trinket Mage would block. He's
probably still doing that, though, right? I mean, there's no reason not to.
Attack for 18.
Yeah. I mean, he knows Bob's hand, so.
It's true. Yeah, you see, looks like he's sacrificing creatures to Dread Return. Now, the token creature that he sacks does not trigger the Bridge from Blow. So he sacks 3 creatures. He gets +4 zombies, but he had to sack one of the 2 previous zombies, so he'll wind up with 5 zombies and a Flamekin Zealot in play. Flamekin Zealot gives them all +1/+1 in haste. This is how you win on the second turn, is if he had just hit a second Narcomoeba, or if he'd hit a second Cabal Therapy, or if he'd hit, a
Fate Stitcher probably is enough. Like, just another Bazaar activation probably is good enough.
Yep, Fate Stitcher would have been good enough. Welcome to Vintage Dredge. This is what it does. Does
Well,
not
it wins game one, but
exactly. Yeah, this is the good game for the Dredge player. Now what happens? Bob cheated a little bit on sideboard cards though. If he's only got 4, he definitely cheated a little bit.
uh,
If you want to beat Dredge, you need to show up with like 6 to 8, I think.
maybe he can
5 to
bring
7.
in his slice and dice again, but then he has to draw 2 of them. So it's
Yeah, it doesn't sound great.
certainly a good card against Delver, though. I mean, 3
Oh
mana,
yeah.
draw a card.
No, I think it's a nice upgrade on Electrickery. I mean, Electrickery is nice in the matchup, but Slice and Dice just seems better, right? It's
uncounterable is just so big, yeah.
uncounterable is the important part, but I mean, draw a card's not irrelevant.
That's also, yeah. Like, you can actually cycle it if it doesn't do anything. I mean, I had an Electrickery in my hand in the last game, and like for most of the game, it just didn't do anything. Would have definitely cycled it if I had the opportunity.
All right, Tom is going to force Bob to chump block. Bob's going to go down to 4. Of course,
Oh, yeah, that does.
dying does get rid of the bridges.
So there's only 1 bridge left in Tom's deck.
Still, it's not like Bob's plan is to sweep away those zombies. I think Tom fully expects that if Bob's deck isn't really capable of blocking or killing those zombies. So he's going to be able to attack for the next 4. Hilariously, Zernor could actually become relevant if he actually gained enough life to buy a turn, potentially.
Well, he has to find a fast one and then another gush. And then from there, Ancestral, and then maybe. But it's a long chain of top decks.
Yeah, the draw phase was Scalding Tarn, so that's not good news. Oof. Now here comes the Gush. Bob needs to hit pretty well here.
And did you get anything?
I don't see it yet. Found a Time Walk. Yeah, Bob's hand is not updating. He's actually in New York traveling on business and on hotel Wi-Fi. So I know his internet's a little sketchy. Yeah, he found a Time Walk, but didn't find anything else. I didn't get to see the details, but it was really hard to imagine what Bob could have drawn there to stay in that game. So
yeah, I mean, Dredge is supposed. Yeah, like I don't like Bob probably has like 15%, 10% to win that game 1. I think his deck isn't particularly fast, and I mean.
Yeah, and then where we found ourselves on turn 2, I feel like he was down to low single-digit percentages.
Yeah.
Now what? Tom brings in Chains and Nature's Claims just to fight those 3 cages?
He probably doesn't bring in Chains, I don't think. I think it's probably just... yeah, he probably leaves in his main deck Ingot Chewers, and then he boards in Nature's Claim.
Yeah, I don't think he wants... It feels like Tom... I know Tom normally sideboards in the Claims and the Chains to fight sideboard cards, but there's really only 3 sideboard cards this time around. It seems like he should leave his deck a little more explosive. Maybe not bring all of that in. Because he's even got Ingot Chewers in the main, right? Yeah, he's got 3 Ingot Chewers in the main.
The main deck Mental Missteps are also so annoying for Bob because he's so reliant on his fast bond.
Right.
So, he probably has to leave in his Mental Missteps just to fight Tom's Mental Missteps.
I think you're probably right. They also can fight Ichabod Therapy. So.
Oh, yeah, that's another good point.
They're not great against Dredge, but they're better than a lot of your other cards.
He's got a lot of crap.
You know, Force of Will is terrible in this matchup. Misstep's better than that. Any other permission? Yeah, Misstep is probably the best of Bob's permission. His Dak Phaetons don't do anything, obviously.
Yeah, it's also just that way.
Yeah, and Bob's going to wind up trying to figure out what he can run with only 4 Dredge hate in his sideboard. He's got more than 4 cards that he wants to take out.
Hopefully the Divining Top, but I'm sure that's staying.
Yeah, I think Bob's got to figure out, like, maybe he has a Lightning Bolt in his deck to try to... That doesn't do anything. Maybe he has Pyroblast in his deck to counter Mental Misstep. He's just going to come up short a few cards here. Yeah, I mean, if this is how everybody showed up to play, I think Dredge would be doing better than 0-4. I mean, I still think Bob's a favorite after sideboarding, though, right? Or is it pretty close? Grafdigger's
Like, I don't think he's a favorite to win 2 games with his sideboard.
That's fair. He's probably a favorite in any individual game, but
He's
he
probably
has
like
to
60% or something, but that's not enough to be a favorite to win the match now that he's down 1 game.
It is a cool deck. I'm with you in that I think Bob played it because it's fun, not necessarily the best.
Yeah, like it's so many cards you need for that combo. That's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, no, the combo here, for those who haven't seen it, if you have Crucible of Worlds in play and you have Fast Bond in play, then you can sacrifice your lands to the Zurin Orb to gain life, put them back into play with the Crucible. That's infinite life. Meanwhile, you can tap them every time through this loop. So Crucible, Zurin Orb, Fast Bond is also infinite mana. 3-card combo gives you infinite life and infinite mana. Sinking that mana into the Karavek's Torch is the easiest way to win from there. Although often, I mean, there's some decks like Tom's that just can never beat infinite life.
But it means he has Crucible, Torch, and Zuron Orb as his combo pieces.
Right.
That's the fast one, but
the fast bond is just good, especially in a deck with 4 gushes. It's in fact great in a deck with 4 gushes. But all 3 of those other cards are kind of sketchy. They're not exactly cards you would want to have in your vintage deck.
Certainly not in your opening hand.
All right, having some technical issues with Bob's hand cam, but we can watch the match without it if we have to. Yeah, let's go ahead and get down there. All right, I see a match. Tom is obviously up a game. Bob's got to run off 2 straight. It's how it works against Dover.
Good luck, Bob. Good luck.
So is Tom the evil enemy piloting the dredge deck? Are we just all supposed to root against him when he's trying this?
There's a Divining Top in the other deck. I think I'm on the dredge side. Wow. I really dislike Divining Top.
You are super anti-Sensei's Divining Top. That's crazy.
It's just such a boring card. I mean, especially in a format with so many fetch effects. And then Brainstorm and all the other, and like every time the top gets activated again, and I'm just, that card should not have been printed, I don't think.
I do not disagree. Yeah, I feel bad too. That happened kind of on my watch. I wasn't in charge of the set, but I was in charge of the department at the time. All right.
It's not a broken card, at least. Yeah. Just annoying.
Oh, I totally agree. You're completely right. It's just does too much for 1 mana for sure. And it does what it does is kind of time consuming. Tom is digging for his Bazaar of Baghdad. Current hand I'm looking at is 3 Narcomoebas. Wow. Undiscovered Paradise is at the end of this hand. 3 Narcomoebas, a chain. Yeah, you got to go down to 5. He finds a Serum Powder.
Another one?
This hand still, oh, no. He goes down to 4. Okay. The 4-card hand finally has a Bazaar of Baghdad.
So he did board in the Chain of Vapors.
He loves these post-sideboarded matchups. He's removed a fair amount of stuff too. Is that 2 Narcomoebas?
Yeah, it's 2 Necromoebas, a Blood Gas, 1 Chain, 1 Misstep. It's not that bad. I mean,
okay.
3 Serum Powder gun. I mean, that's not going to hurt him, I don't think.
Fair enough. Yeah, we'll have to play this one from Bob's side. From Tom's side. We do not get to watch Bob's hand. Turn 1 Fast Bond is good.
Does he have a gush?
I don't see his hand.
Oh, we don't.
Hotel Wi-Fi has cost us Bob's hand cam. Happy to just have Bob playing. We'll deal with it.
Well, the question is, why isn't he at John's place?
He is in New York. It's true.
I mean, if he is in New York,
pretty sure that's where he is. Definitely a business trip. Yeah, we had this on the slide. Bob owns ACD Distribution, one of the largest distributors of Magic products. Is definitely grew up a Magic player and as a professional businessman kind of moved into the industry. Ponder is the play.
And he's digging for Gush. As many as he can possibly find.
Definitely. Tom's also going to be desperately trying to hit a dredger. He gets his draw phase and a couple cards off the bazaar. But where he's at right now is he's got a bridge. He's got a couple of dread return targets in Sun Titan and Flamekin Zealot, but does not yet have a dredger.
What does he sideboard out?
Yeah, I don't know. He brought in a lot of sideboard cards, so it's.
I mean, it probably has to be probably like the Golgari suck. That thing is.
It is hard to hold on. You need to hold on to certain critical mass of dredgers. It can be tempting to shave them because the extra ones feel extraneous. It's
he must have bought it out Ingotsure, right? Maybe he only bought in the Chain of Vapor and didn't bought in the Nature's Claims.
Nature's Claim, really? Nature's Claim is better.
I would think, yeah, I would think the Nature's Claim is just better, but
hits Fast Bomb, for example. Draw phases in Narcomoeba. Now, what are you going to find off this bazaar? I guess there's no reason to. Does he do it main phase, or he's just he just does it main phase?
There's no reason whatsoever, is there?
You can find a Misstep is the card that's relevant, and he did in fact find Mental Misstep and Golgari Grave Troll. So now we're off to the races. Well, we will be on Tom's next turn anyway. Discards the bridge, the Grave Troll, and
so Bob is looking at turn 3 kills from the dredge deck again, I think. It's unlikely that he can win on turn 2 with 3 cards in hand. That's probably hard. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. At least, I mean, Bob went first this time, so basically he's got a full extra turn.
Right.
But he didn't have a gush.
Does he have a way? Does he have a sideboard card? Is what he really wants. Bob had the fast bond. He got to ponder. Now he needs to. He needs to interact with Tom's plan somehow. Oh, is this the gush?
Bob didn't shuffle his library, so he definitely found something.
2 blue floating. There's a gush. Strip Mine.
Hello.
That is an excellent card.
I was actually surprised that he didn't have 1 or 2 Wastelands because he has a Crucible. And I mean, against some of the Delver decks, that's like a win condition. They have only 2 Moxes and 14 lands or something.
That's a good point. Yeah, Strip Mine Crucible is obviously great. And just playing Strip Mine against the Bazaar is good. I mean, Tom mulliganed all the way down to 4 just to find that Bazaar.
Does he have another Bazaar in his hand?
No, he does not. Oof. He does have 1 Grave Troll in the graveyard, so he can dredge with his draw phase. But that means he's not drawing a Bazaar.
Wait, Bob's not playing lands? I mean, guess no reason to.
Well, he blew Strip Mine was his land drop for the turn. I guess he doesn't want to pay life if he doesn't have anything to do with the mana. All right. Tom does use his draw phase to dredge. So his draw phase is the Grave Troll.
I mean, if Bob has anything in his hand, he must be a big favorite now.
Yeah, I mean, Tom is.
Tom's not really doing anything. That's why Bob didn't play land.
Now we see. How many cards in Bob's hand? 6? So
6, yeah.
Yeah, he's 1 draw phase away from being able to activate this library. Library of Alexandria.
What is Tom doing now? I mean, yes, he just draws, I think. Can't really do anything else.
I mean, if there's a I don't think he spilled a dredger.
No.
So yeah, he just draws. Oh, Dackmore Salvage.
Oh, there was a Dackmore Salvage in this grade.
Yeah. Wow. And we were talking about how Bob had 4 hate cards for the matchup, the 3 cages and the 1 Ravenous Trap, but he really has 5. So the main deck Strip Mine is quite good.
I mean, now Tom really needs to get going. Bob is going to find those hate cards. Drawing 2 cards a turn.
The game. I mean, what's Tom supposed to do? He's drawing cards. Tom's big plan at this point, I think, is to get up to 8 cards in hand so that he can discard the Golgari Grave Troll and start dredging every draw phase, that 1 Golgari Grave Troll.
I mean, means Bob gets 2 turns with the library.
I mean, if Bob can't win from here, this deck has to be retired to this sort of casual shelf of his Magic Online account.
Time Walk? Oh, and another Gush.
The Gush, which is a great card, is staying on the library. It allows him to do stuff and then still have 7 cards in his hand.
And then there's Fast Bond.
Three lands. 4 lands.
He must be. Yeah, there we
go. We are 1 Crucible of Worlds away from Infinite Life, which is enough for Tom to just scoop. He can't beat Infinite Life.
I mean, on Magic Online, I mean, I guess Tom would just scoop. But...
Tom would just scoop in this scenario. Also, it only takes a couple hundred to put him actually out of reach. Crucible? Oh, more gushing.
That was a Zuron Orb.
Aha. He's just gaining a bunch of life?
Might just be Yakma's Will. I would guess it's Yakma's Will.
Interesting.
Which also should be game. I mean, that's double Gush and a Ponder. Yeah, that's a Will.
Yeah, all right. Bob's casting Yawgmoth's Will. So all of those lands that he just sacked to the Zern Orb for 2 life each can be replayed out of the graveyard while Yawgmoth's Will is in effect. Netting +1 life from each of those and effectively tapping each of them for 2 mana.
It also untaps his library for another card.
Very nice. Wow. The Strip Mine is back for later, and now it's what, 2 Gushes and a Ponder?
Yep.
All right. Tap those for mana. Pick them up with the Gush.
Goes up to 8 cards. So the library is on again.
Yeah, Crucible of Worlds is the kill card here. Tom will scoop as soon as he sees Crucible, I'm pretty sure. Is it a flawless victory when you win with your opponent having no permanents, or do they also have to have no hand for the true flawless victory?
Yeah, like I don't think that counts against Dredge. I mean...
I guess that's fair. Tom is going to misstep this Ponder.
But that also sets him back down to 5 cards in hand.
Yeah, which makes the discard plan. But I mean, it's clear to him that Bob is digging. He doesn't want to give Bob effectively 3 free draw phase, 3 free looks. Figures if he stops that, maybe he gets 3 draw phases. But of course, Bob had the misstep back.
Bob's hand would have to be exceptionally bad at this point to lose.
Agreed. And he's still got another Gush.
Yeah, there's still another 2 cards coming.
One of the funny things about this deck, though, is that you actually need to say go in order to turn off the Yawgmoth's Will effect to keep the combo going. Like with Yawgmoth's Will in effect, any card that goes to the graveyard gets removed from the game, or sorry, exiled, which means you can't actually do the Fastbond Zern or Crucible of Worlds combo on a turn where you've cast Yawgmoth's Will.
Yeah, so he has to find his Time Walk.
Right, he has to either find the Time Walk or he has to say go, which just gives you a little hint at quite how fragile this contraption is that Bob's assembling here. Yeah, apologies to anybody who's joining us late. We don't have Bob's hand cam. He's on mediocre hotel Wi-Fi.
But yeah, this is going to be a game 3, I'm sure.
Sure, it looks like it. Two more cards. It's not like Tom does anything if Bob says go.
Yeah, like Tom just passed the turn back. Okay, there's the
Vampiric Tutor.
That's
he kind of wants both the
Crucible
Crucible and the Time Walk. I don't know. Maybe Tom will scoop to just the Crucible. Crucible and say go. Is this Gush
Another Gush.
number
Yeah.
7 of the turn? Gush Fast Bond is hella good. That is just such a powerful combo.
Crucible of
There's
Worlds.
the Crucible of Worlds.
Oh, well, I mean, that's...
Tom has seen enough. All right. Now, what happens in game 3? You've got Bob as, now that he's won a game, a favorite to finish off the match?
Yeah, I mean, Tom is going first, which is pretty big, but Bob is probably still like 55% or something.
Tom will get to play first.
I mean, that strip mine was big.
Yeah, that was definitely a strip mine game, for sure. Bob's strip mine nailed the bazaar, bought himself all the time he needed to set up shop. Fastbond, Gush, Yawgmoth's Will. It just gets so far ahead that even when your combo is as complicated as Bob's, you get to find all the pieces and put it together. Chad says Bob is playing the jankiest pile of cards since Raptors Pyromancer Ascension deck from season 1.
No, that's like Bob is just, he's playing 56 normal cards. Like he's playing
6 or 50.
Like he's just playing a normal combo deck. He's got Fastbond, Gushes, Force of Wills, Mental Missteps, then all the Surge, all the Tutors, and then like instead of having a Time Vault, a Key, and Tezzeret, he's playing these janky cards. But like if you replace these cards, then it's just an average.
No, he's got 57 cards from a normal deck.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's certainly not like weird deck or anything. Like the kill condition is strange, but otherwise it's just a normal vintage deck.
Well, Tom's got Bazaar in a 7-card hand. That is good news for Team Martell. He's even got a Stinkweed Imp, so he knows he's going to get to Dredge right away. He's got a Dread Return. He's even got Mana plus Nature's Claim to deal with any potential Grafdigger's Cage. That is pretty much everything you could ask for from Tom. Drew Serum Powder off this Bazaar. Not sure what the other card was, but he's thinking about what to discard.
Can't join the game for some reason.
What's that?
Can't join the game.
You can't join the game. Oh, sometimes if you don't close the game before the next game starts, it won't let you in. You have to actually close the whole client.
Oh, great. I'll do that.
We'll get you there. All right. Does Bob have anything to do about Tom's Bazaar? Mox Emerald into Soul Ring.
It's promising, at least.
Yep. Where does he go from here, though? Underground Sea. Blue and 2 for Merchant Scroll. Well, he has to get a blue instant, so can't get Ravenous Trap, which is probably the card he would most love to have in his hand right here.
Ancestral is fine.
Yeah, Ancestral will do. His opponent runs a step, but what are you going to do? And it was, in fact, Ancestral Recall. Plus, that last colorless mana is Grafdigger's Cage mana. So Bob's first turn is Mox, Soul Ring, Land, Merchant Scroll, Grafdigger's Cage, with an Ancestral in his hand for next turn. Not bad. Tom doesn't have the Nature's Claim, though. So he just draws for his draw phase because he doesn't want to dredge yet. I assume he's going to go Undiscovered Nature's Claim.
I mean, it's only getting worse. Like, if he has a Mental Misstep, like, if he lets him untap, he's getting 3 more cards from the Ancestral to find that Mental Misstep. So.
Right.
think you just cast it right now. Hope for the best.
And that's what Tom's thinking about. I mean, Bob used a lot of his hand on the first turn, so he doesn't have a whole lot left.
He's got 3 cards.
Okay,
One of them ancestral.
now he's going to dredge. Interesting. So he drew for no, he did dredge for his draws.
Oh, he hit the Necromebia, and
Yeah,
he has
Narcomoeba.
Cabal Therapy. It's 2 Cabal Therapies, actually.
So Narcomoeba is not going to come into play because of the graphic.
And
Or can you respond to the trigger? No, he didn't put the land into play. So Tom went ahead and dredged main phase after, and he did dredge for his draw phase.
Tom's graveyard has actually everything. If there was no Gravedigger's Cage, he might be able to win this turn, but there is. He probably just used Bazaar to get a chance at the
I think he was hoping for mental misstep. Yeah. Well, but he dredged off the Bazaar. Why did he dredge off the Bazaar? Why not wait until... It seems like you can...
If he did that first, like if he did that the other way around, then he would get a Necromebia into play, could Cabal Therapy for the Ancestral, then the bridges would trigger and he could Cabal Therapy again. This seems strange. Like,
I am surprised as well. I think he was maybe thinking if he hit Bloodghast, then he can Undiscovered and claim as a response to the Bloodghast trigger.
Bloodghast doesn't... Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah. Well, it worked out reasonably for Tom. Bob did not have the mental misstep or the force of will to defend his Grafdigger's Cage. So Tom was able to get the Grafdigger's Cage off the board. He's got a graveyard full of gas if he gets another turn.
Bob untaps without another Gravedigger's Cage. I'm sure he's winning on his turn.
Bob casts Ancestral Recall. He wants to find a second Grafdigger's Cage. Ravenous Trap is also probably good enough.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, the 1 hate card is often insufficient to beat Dredge. Wow, the 1 Strip Mine was good enough in game 2, but the 1 Grafdigger's Cage is not going to be good enough here in game 3. So, Yawgmoth's Will for Bob Maher. So that will recast Grafdigger's Cage. He did not have enough mana to recast the Ancestral, though, did he?
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he uses Yawgmoth's Will as a 4-mana Grafdigger's Cage, which, I mean, you do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Sure, he wishes he had 1 more spare mana lying around so he could also Ancestral himself, but he's content to get Cage back into play.
Tom doesn't have another answer, does he?
Not in his hand. He actually top-decked Mental Misstep. So if he had... yeah, exactly. And he just Bazaar'd into a second Mental Misstep. And a Nature's Claim!
Oh.
Wow. So he does have an answer. He found it.
But I don't think he has a Bloodghast, though. So, yeah, he doesn't have a Bloodghast.
So he still doesn't get to Cabal Therapy?
Can't really do anything this turn, no.
Well, he can blow up the Grafdigger's Cage. That's not nothing.
Yeah, obviously.
Undiscovered for Nature's Claim. 2 Mental Missteps is Tom's hand right now.
Force of Will.
That can't be Mental Misstepped. Now Tom's in trouble. Man,
I mean, Bob is down to 3 cards, to be fair. So
yeah.
First of all, Bob has to get anything going. And that doesn't do anything.
And Crucible, blank but on its own. He's already used his Yawgmoth's Will.
He's 2 cards? Yawgmoth's Will is gone.
Still wondering about the way Tom played his turn 2. The fact that he activated the Bazaar before using the Undiscovered to blow away Cage.
Oh, wow, another Cage?
Yes, but Mental Misstep.
Oh, yeah, sure. Did Tom double dredge, or did he only dredge once? Like, if he only dredged once, then maybe he was hoping for a Mental Misstep.
I thought he double dredged. He just drew a Bloodghast.
He's drawing a lot of cards. So.
Yeah, Bazaar. He's using Bazaar Baghdad now to draw extra cards off the top of his library. I mean, he's getting 2 for 1, but he found a Chain of Vapor. So he's loaded his deck with Answers to Grafdigger's Cage after sideboard.
Bob has 0 cards in his hand, so Tom can go Undiscovered Paradise, trigger the Bloodghast, then Chain of Vapor, the Gravedigger's Cage, then Therapy, the Gravedigger's Cage from his hand. Probably win.
Wow.
I mean, at least he can put quite a few permanents into play, I think.
And Bob's empty-handed, right?
Bob has 0 cards in hand, yes. He needs, like, his best draw is Gush, I'm sure.
Tom debating on what the third card is to discard to this Bazaar. I think it's pretty obviously the Mental Misstep. He just keeps Undiscovered and Chain. Actually not sure what he's thinking about. He's trying to figure out if he can chain and then misstep it on the way back down. But like you said, he gets Bloodghast. So
yeah. I think the
Undiscovered brings
Therapy.
a Bloodghast back. He can respond to the Bloodghast trigger by bouncing Grafdigger's Cage, and then the Bloodghast trigger will in fact resolve.
He's got 2 bridges in his graveyard.
So Cabal Therapy is going to make a bunch of zombies. Yeah. All right. Bloodghast triggers from the Undiscovered, but he can respond to that with Chain.
Oh, waiting for Tom. Okay. He didn't
Respond.
Maybe that doesn't work? No, that has to work. That has to work.
Yeah, it works.
Okay.
He's waiting. He didn't want to do it. I think he's going to wait for Bob's end step, maybe?
Probably, yeah. I mean,
if he couldn't
if he
win,
does it on his turn, he doesn't. Yeah, he can't win. Like, he doesn't do all that much else. Also, like, the Gravedigger's Cage is gone. Like, Bob doesn't have a will anymore, and then 2 of his cages are gone, which is kind of tempting, I think.
I guess Tom figures Bob's empty-handed, so he can just wait for end step, bounce the cage, then buy himself a turn where he's not obliged to Cabal Therapy it away.
So now we see if Bob has his nickname the Great One for a good reason. He counters
the Great One, then what does he draw? A Ravenous Trap?
It doesn't even matter. Like, any counters, like Force of Will, just anything that counters the chain.
Sure.
Like, Tom can't use the Bazaar anymore, I don't think. Not to draw cards.
He's not got a huge library, that's for sure.
No, but the problem is that he has to discard all the cards he draws.
Oh, right. Yeah, Bazaar no longer turns a profit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom saying go there is...
Like, if that Chain of Vapor gets counted now, then Tom has to manually draw another one with his 1 card per turn.
Yeah, because he could have bounced it and therapied it. He didn't need to... He didn't need to say go. I don't know why bounce therapy doesn't just work.
I think it should work, but I mean, I don't know.
All right.
Tom has played this deck much more than I did.
Here's the end step Chain of Vapor. Is Bob the Great One? Did he draw a counterspell?
Thinking about something at least.
Well, he can also sack to the chain, right? He can bounce something, sack a land to what? Bounce the
It's non-land though. So.
Oh, it's non-land, right? Yeah, okay. There are no non-land permanents. You're right. He bounces his own stuff. That doesn't do anything here.
Yep, resolved.
Nope. Chain of Vapor resolves.
So, I mean,
now it's
Tom has 1 Necromevia left in his deck. Hitting that would be pretty nice.
True. I mean, he's going to lose the Undiscovered to this Bazaar activation, isn't he?
He's probably not using it during his upkeep.
Oh, right. So he waits for his draw phase. Undiscovered coming back to hand is really nice because it allows him to have a land to play for Bloodghasts. Yeah, but he needs to make sure he doesn't have to discard it to Bazaar. So first he dredges with his draw phase, picks up a Grave Troll that way. Now
another Bloodghast at another bridge.
Wow.
He must be winning this turn. Like, it's
Bob's got 1 card in his hand. It's Ravenous Trap!
I told you, he's a great one. I mean...
Whoa! It's Ravenous Trap!
That's probably...
Tom loses everything in his graveyard. It's all gone.
Yeah.
All the bridges, all the Bloodghasts.
He's got 1 bridge left in his deck.
Jeez.
There's 2 Dread Return.
How many cards are even in Martell?
22. 22 cards left in this deck, but not much action, I don't think.
35 cards in his graveyard are all getting removed here. How many? 2 bridges or 3?
3. There's 3 bridges.
Now Tom's thinking about this. I mean, I get he can. There's nothing he can do about this, right? Yeah, no. There's no reason to activate Bazaar as a response. Yeah, all that goodness is gone. Those blood gas can't come into play from the exile zone.
3 Bloodgust gun, 3 Necromevius gun. I think he boarded out the Icarus. I mean, we didn't see one yet.
Interesting. Sure.
Well, I mean, it's pretty unlikely that he left in multiple copies if he didn't see one yet. I mean, that looks pretty bad for Tom suddenly.
Now, Bob is empty-handed. Tom does have a Bazaar and a Dredge in his hand.
Bob did have 3 of his 4 sideboard cards in his first 14 cards.
Yep.
Which is helpful.
Wow.
Also, I assume Tom only has 1 Flamekin. That is.
Yeah, it's a 1-of, yeah.
Yeah, so that's gone, so you can't do that trick anymore. It's gonna be. I mean, Bob doesn't have anything. Maybe.
Yeah, I wonder if Tom can rebuild enough.
2, like he's got 2 Grave Trolls left.
Well, but I mean, doesn't take. He only gets to dredge like 3. Oh, you got me. That's the dream.
And there's a 4 sideboard card in 15 cards.
Well, it's the same cage from the Chain of Vapor.
Oh, right. He didn't. Yeah, sure. He didn't get to therapy it.
Right. Bob had to say go. I mean, Tom had to say go. He decided he had to say go anyway.
So Tom has to find another solution for the cage now. That's insane.
And I still can't figure out. We're pretty sure he could have bounced it. He could have Cabal Therapied it away if he'd done that main phase Chain of Vapor, but he chose to say go. Both gave Bob a draw phase to find a counterspell.
Also, if he did that, he would have had a couple of zombies in play, which might just be enough to kill Bob. I mean, Bob doesn't have anything.
I agree. Crazy. Bob's going to go 2-1 with this deck? And Tom's going to go 0-3? That's what it's looking like. What a crazy game. I mean, I'm sure Tom had reasons for the lines that he took here, but there's 2 of them that I don't quite follow.
Is he doing commentary for the next match?
I've got Bob for the next match.
Oh, okay.
I am curious to hear from Tom, though.
And now he can dredge most of his remaining library?
Yeah, but there's a cage. He found a Nature's Claim. Yeah, he's drawing with Bazaar because he has to find answer to the cage. So he found Nature's Claim, then also chose to draw again because he doesn't want to accidentally spill stuff that he can't bring back into play right away. Wow, Tom has so many answers in his deck after sideboarding and keeps being able to find them.
Bob has 1 card in his hand. Might just be another counter spell. Wouldn't surprise me. There's a claim.
What do you got, Bob?
Not a counter spell.
He's up to 27, though.
That's also, yeah, that's a problem for Tom.
Could become relevant. Fetch land for Bob. He's holding 1 card. We don't know what it is. Now Tom can dredge what little library he has left.
16 cards. There's an Necromevia. And the Bloodgust. I mean, maybe.
This would be a crazy.
I mean, that would be super impressive if he wins this game.
I agree. How many dredge returns in the exile zone?
I think it's only 2.
Okay, I think he plays 3. He can also, because I mean, you can dread return a Golgari Grave Troll in a pinch, right? Even if the good stuff is exiled.
Only got 1 bridge left to work with.
Does not have enough draw phases to win with that Narcomoeba.
What did Bob draw now that he's thinking about? Snapcaster Ravenous Trap? Holy crap. Okay, Bob. Yep. Tom has seen enough. Yeah,
Oh God,
that's
Martell has
realistic.
seen enough. Martell just scoops the Snapcaster targeting Ravenous Trap. What a crazy game!
I mean, this way someone else joins me at 03. It's very nice of Tom. Don't feel that bad anymore.
Wow. Yeah, Tom is 03. Dredge is actually 05.
That's surprising.
You can also be joined by David Williams, to be fair. David Williams and Chris Bakula's match has been postponed until next week. Chris trying to get to 3-0 in that match. Dave trying to avoid the 0-3 of his own. What a crazy match. Yeah, I am definitely curious to hear Tom's side of the way he navigated through there.
I'm actually asking him right now.
Yeah, see if he says anything in the chat. He could easily just be, full-blown tilt, walking away from the computer, rolling his eyes at how many sideboard cards were inflicted upon him.
That's certainly in Tom's range.
Yeah. Cage, another Ravenous Trap, another Cage, chain to bounce the Cage, replay it, and then Snapcaster for the Ravenous Trap. That's tough. Tom fought the good fight, too. He was still in it there at the end.
Yeah, it was just, I mean, Bob's last 3 draws were something like Ravenous Trap, Snapcaster, Ravenous Trap. I think there was 1 Mox in between, but like, he was hellbent, and like 3 of his 4 draws were the perfect card.
Yeah, Tom says, yeah, probably he could have chained his response to Bloodghast and then therapied.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Dredge does not get there for Tom Martell. But Bob gets there. The pet deck, the crazy contraption, was assembled twice, sort of.
What did Dredge do in the last season? I think it did okay, right?
Yeah, it did. Tom 3-0'd with it.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure anyone else played it in the Swiss, other than the 1-3-0.
I think people bought a lot more sideboard cards this time.
People certainly didn't cheat on them. I mean, I think the hope with the Dredge Gambit is that people would start cheating on them. And I mean, Bob kind of did, but people drew a lot of sideboard cards. Maybe the better way to say that. Well, thanks for joining us, Kai. I hope you've enjoyed commentary. We'd like to be back in the booth.
I mean, it was a bit annoying that I couldn't see the hands, which that makes it a lot worse.
I almost forgot. But you acquitted yourself just fine.
But then in the last, I think it was only game 3 when no one saw Bob's hands.
Yeah. Well, we got 1 match left. It's going to be Steve Menendian versus Eric Froelich. We certainly had a lot of hype about your match with LSV, and I mean, certainly the 2 most impressive resumes in the league colliding is always going to draw interest. But these 2 guys are on hot streaks. I mean, Eric has just been winning everything in every format all around the planet, and Steve is defending champion plus undefeated. So one of these guys will be the only 3-0 headed into the second set of decks. One of them is going to.
And Eric was top 4 last season too, right?
Yeah, Eric did make the playoffs.
Yeah,
he lost to. Eric finished 3rd, actually. He beat David, but then lost to Luis in the semifinal. So 2 of last year's top 3, undefeated versus undefeated. Stay tuned. I'll get Bob on the line. I hope if his Wi-Fi can handle it, and we'll see you guys shortly.